Do you think Labour is showing enough understanding in this case? The governors are saying, look, we're not getting allocation from the Federation has seriously gone down. We know how much the price of oil is globally today. And basically, we're not getting enough to, and we just may not be able to sustain the payment of that 18,000 naira minimum wage. That's what the governors are saying. Do you think Labour is showing enough understanding?
First of all, governors are supposed to be good economic managers. If you aspire to be a governor, before aspiring to that position, there are certain things you're supposed to have at the back of your mind. You're supposed to have the managerial, intuitive, and coordinating capabilities to say you want to lead. But we live in a country where somebody will tell you that, I want to be your governor, I want to be your leader, I will construct 20 feeder roads. I will construct this grade of roads. Meanwhile, as at the time the person is talking about, he doesn't know the IGR of the state. He doesn't know the population. He doesn't even know how much a tipper of laterite costs. He doesn't know anything about soil chemistry, and nobody has carried out that analysis for him. If you want to come and lead your people, there are fundamentals you need to know. What and what can we generate as a state? What is the population of my state? How many people are in the public service? How many people are in the private service? How can I trust the local economy or my state or local government economies to make sure they contribute to the aggregate state? Once you do that, before you know, it will even guide how your manifesto is going to be. But if you are now saying that because you don't get allocation, that's why you cannot pay, I don't intend to be immodest. Then what's the difference between somebody who makes that kind of statement and a petty cash? I mean, a petty cash manager or a petty cashier. It's only a petty cashier that just sits here, you bring this, and he or she disburses. But when you call yourself a political and an economic leader, you're supposed to lead, you're supposed to guide, you're supposed to trust the economy. Then what you do is you contribute to the aggregate national economy. And with that, you are going to have what? Economic power. If you have economic power within your state, you're going to have strong political power even within the central government. The same thing with a country. If you have economic power, then you will have political power. And when you talk amongst the committee of nations, people will listen to you. You're talking about a situation where the minimum wage today in Nigeria is less than $100. Brother me, 18,000 naira is less than $100. And you are a sovereign nation, even claiming to be a continental economy and predicating that on less than 5,000 megawatts of electricity. So it's becoming clear that everything we have probably been running has been a paper politics or a paper economy. We are now beginning to see what it will mean to run real politics and real economy. And I think the thing is staring on the face.
And you look at the situation of the price of oil now in the global, I mean, you're also an oil expert. It doesn't appear things are going to improve. The governors also said that looking at next year, for instance, the supplementary budget that President Buhari submitted to the National Assembly days ago, budget benchmark, of course, the oil benchmark there, $48 per barrel. And you look at it, I mean, a lot of people would say, a lot of experts have said, look, the price of oil might even come down below that 48. And that could be a potential problem, problem for us, because it means the federal government would not be able to make more money, and the states will definitely be getting less and less and less of money.
Unfortunately, has anybody taken time to even know or ask or understand that the oil we talk about is just a natural gift? That endowment is a natural gift. There was no brain work that was done by Nigerians to have the oil. And take it or leave it, fossil fuel is a non-renewable energy source. That is it about fossil fuel. When you talk about dynamism, when you talk about planning, thinking ahead, when you talk about generational planning for a country, those are not the things you talk about. That's a natural endowment, a natural gift. We are talking
but our
about
entire planning has always revolved around oil,
which is a faulty planning. That's why it's faulty. That's why it's a faulty economic model. And because the economic model is faulty, you will just be generating motion. You will never move forward. What you are supposed to do is to move forward. And as long as you predicate your success, growth, and the taking care of your people on a natural endowment, you're going to get it wrong. We are in a season, or we are in the period where people need to think through and be creative. So the fundamental question probably you need to ask is, what if Nigeria didn't have oil at all? There are countries in Africa that don't have a drop of crude oil. They don't have a 1 cubic feet of gas. And I can tell you, some of these countries you go, they have the electricity. Their minimum wage is more than $100. You see, one thing we don't really understand is this. Most of these things these leaders are doing are robbing also on our integrity. Because you cannot be saying this is how terrible your economy is. I'm happy for the confession and think anybody will respect you internationally. Even within the continent of Africa. You know, so the question we just need to ask ourselves is, what has gone wrong?
So what do you think these governors need to begin to do at this moment? I mean, internally generated revenue too. Most of them have actually not, most of the states have actually not done well in terms of internal generated revenue. What do you think they should be doing at this time?
What did the government, the governor, respective governors need to do is to look inwards. Try and be creative.
And not look at what comes from the,
the
national...
That is just a natural gift. A natural gift has not, it's just like if you are just born into the family of the sheikhs, or the family of people who are just affluent. It's not a measure of your intelligence or creativity. But once you come out of the box, when you come out of the comfort zone and you can survive the bruises and still remain afloat, you don't get, drowned, then that's when you know you are living. What is just happening is they need to look inwards. It's very, very clear. But they can still borrow or take something from that natural gift. A common example, everybody has been saying agriculture, agriculture, agriculture.
They just mouth it.
Exactly. It's just paper mouthing. The question is this: how many fertilizer factories do we have? Or fertilizer industries? When you go around, you find out little or none. Meanwhile, the ingredient for fertilizer is gas. We are more of a gas nation than an oil nation. Is Nigeria looking lit like Qatar? That same gas is supposed to be the ingredient for electricity, for the gencos to generate. And well, then you regulate it through the TCN and the discos will distribute. But you find out that thing is not happening. And do you know that from only gas alone, you will have enough fertilizer? Because like we said, the raw material for fertilizer is sand and gas. With that alone, there will be food sufficiency. With just implementation of your gas master plan, you will have electricity. If you up electricity, there will be glut at the filling station, right? Because my research, and I stand to be proved wrong by anybody, more than 70% of the petrol and diesel we buy in Nigeria are not to run automobiles. They are actually to run generators. So you can imagine what will happen if you just carry one index called power. You are saying you don't want to pay that $18,000, which is less than $100. Is it $50 you want to pay? Or if you say people should internally create, what have you done for them to have basic power? Oh. My younger brothers can afford to, not to work for government. They will want to have their barbing salon, the hairdressing salon, the TV repairers. But these are people who will go from morning till evening. There will be no light. How do you expect the radio repairer, the TV repairer to work? If I go and I go with my clippers and I want to work in the barbing salon so that The lower level economies can be trusted up, but there is no light. How can I cut or barb people's hair? These are the fundamental things we talk about. And that's why if you're not a visionary economic manager, don't ever aspire to that position, because everything about you will be exposed.